Hello everyone, Sheila back again. Welcome to my channel. It is just after 9 o'clock on this Saturday morning. I'm just sitting doing a little bit knitting. I've just started another cardigan. This is going to be a 36-inch. I am not doing a tutorial for it. I'm just going to knit it, just to add to my pattern, because I now have a 34-inch on the pattern and a 40-inch. This is on my own notes, not a pattern. People seem to think when I'm talking about these sizes in a pattern that it's a pattern to sell. It's not yet. Not until I've done the sizes and have more than one size on the pattern. Because I've quite a lot keep asking me for the pattern and sending emails and or telling me they can't find the 34-inch one or a 40-inch one on my shops. It's because they're not there yet. I haven't made the PDF yet. Like I've told people, Joe, I have to knit these sizes before I can write out the pattern, because I can't work the pattern out in my head. I have to knit it, and each part that I do that needs to be written down. I write down what I've done and what stitches I've done to make this has been a rosebud, what stitches to make the rosebud pattern and that. So I can't sell these until I'm not going to sell a single pattern. I want a pattern with a few sizes on. So I mean a pattern with one single size on. So I'm afraid you're just going to have to wait. This is a 36, so I will now have a 34, and when I finish this it'll be a 36, and I have a 40, because the 40 is this one I'm wearing, what I did for myself. So there'll be a 38 after that, and then I'll print out the PDF to make the pattern for it. But anyway, I'll only be knitting for a little while. I'm just knitting probably until lunchtime. Have my lunch, and then I'm going to go into my garden and do a few more things in my garden, trying to tidy things up. And when it's nice weather like this, I do spend more time in my garden. It's usually when it's either raining or not so nice, not so warm. That's when I'm sitting here doing nothing else but knitting or crochet, whatever I have to do. But I was out yesterday afternoon in my garden. I did a little bit gardening and a little bit knitting, because I could only bend down so many times, and it kills my back. So I was doing a little bit the border. I have a hedge in the front garden. I was doing the border because that's the easiest part at the moment, because there's practically nothing in it. The rest of it, there are two other borders, one down the side between my garden, beside the fence between my garden and next door's, and the other one underneath my window, where at the moment it's just full of dandelions, and those little things that you blow off the dandelions are all ready to blow off. I haven't gotten them all out yet. But you know, I don't know why I'm worried, because those dandelions are all over. We have a green outside my house. It's where I live. It's like a horseshoe shape like this, and there's a big green in the middle, and that green is just covered in dandelion. We haven't got a hope in HALL to get rid of all of these dandelions. So I thought I was tackling the easiest part yesterday, because I thought I'm going to have to leave my back garden, my front garden needs tidying up. But you know, I never got that much done, because the young girl came out next door. You know, we never see anyone in the winter. But this warm weather brings everybody out in their gardens, and the young girl came out next door. She's the one that's had the baby, and little Rio, he's called. Rio Jax. You put some funny names for the kids these days. She says it's spelt R-A-O, Rio. That's Rio. So she came out with this 5-month little baby. So I'm having a little bit chuckle and chat to the baby, and then a chat to the mum and his mum, and we were talking, and there's a new neighbour moved in next door. She's been there quite a while now, actually. Next door to my neighbour with the baby. Her name's Vicky. But there's this new neighbour moved in, and we've hardly seen hide nor hair of her. You know, for to talk to the woman, to be friends. I know she has a daughter, because there's a taxi drops her off every day after school, it must be. But we've never seen anything of the young woman. So I'm saying to my neighbour Vicky, I said, have you seen anything of the girl next door to you that's moved in? You know, I says, you know, we could bring her into a conversation, get to know her, get to know everybody. She says, I hardly ever see her. She says, the only time I see her, she's in her pyjamas and her dressing gown. And as she said that, my neighbour, 2 doors down on the other side, they had a great big lorry thing delivering something, and they needed to be on her drive to put wherever they were delivering on her drive. Where she had to move her car, and she came out of the house in her pyjamas. And with me and Vicky talking about the other girl next door, and then we both burst out laughing. There's Aunt Angela, this other girl's called. We burst out laughing. She was looking at us. What you was laughing at? Never mind, Angela, I'll tell you after. So I had a chat with Vicky and a bit play with the baby and that, and so I never got any. The work just stopped on the border that I was digging over. And then anyway, Vicky had to go and pick she's got 2 of them. Well, one of them she has to pick up from school. The other one's an older boy. He comes in by himself. So I've trotted up to Angela to have a chat with. But she's not very well, Angela, and she does, doesn't want to be bothered getting ready and that. And she's just sitting there with like pajama type thing. She sits on a chair in the front garden, and when she wants to talk to you, because I get a wave off her like that. So I had a bit chat with her, and then came back and did a little bit of the border. And then I thought, oh, that's enough. I cannot manage anymore. So I made myself a cup of tea and got my seat out at the front door, and I was sitting doing a little bit knitting while I was sitting out in the sun. And I got a little bit of this one. Actually got the sleeve finished sitting at the door. But I made that many mistakes. I don't know whether it was with sitting at the door, and I was knitting away, and I went past the row, about 3 rows past where I had to cross the cable, so I had to take it back down again to there. And I was doing the shaping on the sleeves, and it had to be, I think after I cast the stitches off each side, I had to do another 2 rows and then decrease, and then the next 4th row another 3 times. Well, I did it 5 times, didn't I? So I had to take it down again. I could have had a lot more done, but I don't know whether it's because I wasn't sitting up in my room. I was sitting at the door and watching other things, because you're watching to see what other neighbours you can catch coming out in and out of their doors and that. And that's that. So I got a little bit more of the other sleeve. I got the other sleeve started. So that one will not be long before that one will be finished. And that's the last size on that pattern. So I'll be making a PDF when I finish that one. So that was that. And then I came into the house after I had my tea, and I'd done a little bit more on the tutorial for this one. So I've got the back done for that part of the tutorial. So I'll do a little bit more of that today. Maybe it's before I go out in the garden, or after I come back out after I've been in the garden. Because it's going to be another lovely day. And it is very unusual at this time of year actually to be this warm. And all 3 of us that had been talking, my neighbour Vicky and my other neighbour Angela and myself, we all said it was cold inside our house. We couldn't believe how warm it was outside because it was so cold in the house. And then we went outside and it was red hot. I don't know what it is, but the sun was shining. It must be the double glazing that we've got doesn't let the heat into the house, and then the insulation you have in the walls is stopping the heat, because before the council put the cavity wall insulation on, when the sun used to shine on my wall, especially in the front, because I get the sun shining in my front, comes in my front window from about 12 o'clock and it goes all the way around to the other side, but it keeps shining in the front. And it used to be lovely and warm, and you put your hand on the wall and you could feel the heat coming through the bricks, but the cavity insulation is stopping that heat coming into your house now. Well, it keeps it warm in the winter. It stops you losing the heat. It stops you getting the heat in the summer. So I was actually, I've got a cardigan on today. It is, I think it's getting up to 19 degrees today, but it is not very warm inside my house. I'll be taking my cardigan off when I go outside. But I have some plants that I put in my front garden on the border under the window. I put 5 of these plants. I can't remember what they were called, but they belong to the onion family. And if you pull one up, the stink of onions. And they just spread like weeds. I put 5 in. This was a few years ago, and I must have about 5 million of them now. I cannot get rid of them. The little bulb, that's like a tiny little bulb that you put in the garden, and that little bulb gets hundreds more little bulbs on. You get all the seeds that come off the flowers, and when they blow off, you get the seeds blown in. I've got them all over. They've blown into my back garden as well. And I keep trying to, when I dig that part over, I keep trying to dig the soil very carefully, trying to catch all these little seeds that's in, but I've never succeeded, and I just gave up. They only come up in the just after the spring. Usually they're up. They're starting to flower now. They're a lovely flower on them, but once you put them in your garden, you kind of get rid of them. So that's something I'll probably have to be tackling after I finish the front border under my hedge. But I do have a lot of work to do in the back garden as well, because the weeds are just prolific. They're just everywhere. Worse than I've ever seen them, worse than they've ever been in my garden. I don't know what it is about this year, but anyway, I'm doing what I can of this before I go out, and I'm going to have to work out the blackberry for the start of the back, because I have done the rib, and I have 4 rows to knit before I start the blackberry pattern. I'm on to the 3rd row now. I have 1 more row to do, and then I'll work out where I have to put the stitches for the little holes for the rosebud. And I think that's all I've been doing. I haven't out my bag down there. I've only got the thing I'm making for these cushion covers. I've done 1 or 2 rows of that, but it's very slow going there. So anyway, that's my little bit for today. So thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll catch you all later. So bye for now.